Took my family away from my Carolina home. Had dreams about the West and started to roam. 6 long months on a dust-covered trail. They say heaven's at the end, but so far it's been hell. And there's fire on the mountain, lightning in the air, gold in them hills, and it's waiting for me there. We were digging and shifting 5 to 5, selling everything we found just to stay alive. Gold flowed free like the whiskey in the bars. Sinning was the big thing, Lord, and Satan was a star. And there's fire on the mountain, lightning in the air, gold in them hills, and it's waiting for me there. Dance hall girls were the evening treat. Empty cartridges and blood lined the streets. Men were shot down for the sake of having fun, or just to hear the noise of their 44 guns. And there's fire on the mountain, lightning in the air, gold in them hills, and it's waiting for me there. Now my widow, she weeps by my grave. Tears flow free for her man she couldn't save. Shot down in cold blood by a gun that carried fame, all for the useless and no good, worthless claim. And there's fire on the mountain, lightning in the air, gold in them hills, and it's waiting for me there. And there's fire on the mountain, lightning in the air, gold in them hills, and it's waiting for me there. Waiting for me there.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, oh, good. My mic was unmuted. Thought I had it muted for a second, everybody. Hey, how are all of you tonight? Ronald, good to see you. Right on time, my brother of another mother. David Alfonsotti, Arts in the house. Good to see you. Terry Curry, Mr. Lodak. First in line tonight. Good to see you, my brother of another mother. All of you, I thought I saw Orlando in here, the 717 detector. Good to see you, Orlando. Headed to the Crick Adventures in the house. Good to see you. Bill, good to see you, Ohio Relic Hunter. Tin Man, how you doing, Willie? Good to see you. I like your new channel art and stuff. Looking good, buddy. Um, right now, I think that's all things country. Hey, welcome. Aaron done with his live stream? Maybe not yet. I left Aaron. He was gold panning Travis, and shoot, he was in somewhere in Georgia by his house. Not really in gold country, but welcome all things country. There's Orlando. All right, everybody. Tonight we have Travis joining us. He's one of the Crick Diggers Mafia Inc. Mafia. One or the other. I've seen it both ways, and we'll probably dive into that with them. But this gentleman's a dump digger and a creek hunter. He is a treasure hunter, and he has beauties, let me tell you. So, you know all what I'm going to say this very second, right? Right. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tuesday Night Hangout Live. It's Tuesday night, Hangout Live. It's Tuesday night, Hangout Live. It's Tuesday night, Hangout Live. With your host, Ed Marvin. Tuesday Night Hangout Live is a Flash in Your Pan production.
That's where it's happened at.
The Canadian Hillbilly. Hello, Nikki. How are you doing? Sorry I missed your show over at Gold Prospectors Space.com. Sunday night, Nikki. I'm kind of bummed. Good to see you, though. All right. Our guest tonight is Travis. Crick Diggers Inc. Or is it Mafia, Travis?
What's happening tonight, brother, man? And
Welcome to Tuesday Night Hangout Live, Travis.
thank you for the invite. I really appreciate that, Ed, brother. So it's Crick Diggers Incorporated is my YouTube channel,
Right.
and on Facebook it's Crick Diggers Mafia.
Okay, there's the Splun's confusion right there.
Yeah.
But everybody, their links are down in the description, so after the show, feel free to check out their channel. You have a few partners in your channel, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I have my own crew. You guys know him as Dirty Boy Will. I call him William's son sometimes. Of course, my son Trav Jr., my buddy Russell Keller and his wife Tiffany, my buddy Joshua Stark, my buddy Kenny Hawk and his dad Jerry Hawk, and my buddy Josh Dondorf, who's also in the thumbnail of the auction or the thumbnail tonight for the podcast.
It sounds like I should have put a lot more people in that thumbnail.
And I got my buddy Wayne, who's part of the Mineral County Historical Society. He does a good bit of digging with me when he's not too busy. And then my buddy David Anderson up in Pennsylvania area. I haven't got to dig with him this year yet, but he's a real good friend of mine and also part of the Crick Digger crew. So yeah, it's grown substantially. I have people all over the place that come down and dig with me, and I consider friends now, and it's really cool.
I know that feeling, Travis. It seems to happen in a lot of the fingers of the treasure hunting hand, you know. It's and just gets bigger and bigger too. Meet more people, dig with more people. I've always found now, can you share how you and your friends started with bottle digging or whatever type of digging do you do? Do you look for old dumps along creeks or ravines and stuff? Is it strictly dumps? Is it privies?
Privies as well. Old outhouses, as most of you would know them by. They used to use those as trash cans back in the day. The only drawback is they also developed a law in the 1880s that they had to be cleaned out. So a lot of the times you dig privies, there's nothing in them because they followed the law and cleaned them out. The good part is they always went to a dump. So I call that privy dip that you find in dumps. You'll find areas that'll have like lime mixture and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And usually that's stuff that they cleaned out of privy and took to the dump, took to a site where they dumped. But yeah, privies. I look for bottle dumps over old ravines, like you said, down in creeks, down old railroad tracks, pretty much anywhere on the outskirts of town and sometimes in town. You can find old Sanborn maps and trace back where the older parts of the town was, and that's where you'll find your dumps. A lot of times they're pretty deep. They go down, 10, 20, sometimes even deeper than that, depending on how long they've been using it and how much material they've actually covered up with. Sometimes they intentionally cover it up so that it doesn't get dug, but we find that stuff just by walking through the woods, walking old roads.
Right.
A lot of it's being very, very observant and looking for things that are not natural. I've been doing it so long that I can walk through the woods and pinpoint where the dump sites are at pretty quickly now.
Well, that's your treasure, and some of those bottles and stuff are worth hundreds.
Yes, they are. Some of them are worth thousands. There's those are the harder ones to find, but they are still out there. It can be done. I've dug a few of them in the 1,000 value range. Most of them are common. I'd say probably 95 to 98% of them are common, run of the mill, machine made bottles that you just see thousands upon thousands on, digging into different dumps. You learn what's common and what's not, and what you see a lot of and what you don't. And then, of course, you got all the collector groups as well, just like you guys do, that specialize in different kinds of bottles, different manufacturers, sodas, sauces, inkwells, beers, whiskeys,
Right.
anything that you find as a bottle, there's a collector group for it. So that's pretty neat. I've met so many people just from digging a certain bottle, and I'll go on the group and try to find out as much information as I can, and it just opens up a whole nother door. It's awesome. A lot of people,
a lot of rabbit holes we go down as a collector. I think that's true with any collector or subcategory of it too.
Yes,
coins, tokens, which if I opened up my green screen right now, you'd see stacks of coins and tokens.
Oh my gosh. I love coins and tokens. I haven't found a ton of them, but I do metal detecting as well. And I have found really neat stuff metal detecting, including a artillery shell and 2 Civil War plate or belt plates.
Well, you're in the right part of the country for that too. You're in Maryland, right?
Yes, sir. Western Maryland, and there's Civil War everywhere around here.
Yeah, my neck of the woods be more of the Indian Wars or the War of 1812, here in Ohio, Western Ohio. So
that's awesome.
But one time prospecting, Jesse and I, Toledo Jess, my old co-host and good prospecting buddy, we went to check out a place in a state park where the Watershed Commission and State Park allowed us to prospect and search, and there was an old town site there that's been moved since the dam was made and the reservoir created and stuff. But in a ravine off the trail, I spotted some garbage and went up, investigated, and found a little tiny. I think it was an old Vicks. It was screw top, but it was cobalt blue. About the size of a decent pill bottle.
Yes, sir. I know exactly what you're talking about. About like that right there.
It was a little smaller.
A little taller?
Smaller. Narrower and smaller.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But it was cool, and I wouldn't mind get in there. It was kind of a one weekend thing for our chapter of the GPAA to go into this area, and we dredged, we did metal detecting and stuff, and that was one of my treasures. There's a YouTuber that has that bottle now. I found Audra from Jersey History Hunter.
Jersey History Hunters. I went the digging thing, the metal detecting event that they had last year. I was part of that, and Trav and my wife went as well, and we had an absolute blast.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Audra's cool. She came and dug gold with me one time.
Oh, that's awesome, Ed. I like Audra too. She's great.
It's always been cool to me, I would have liked to make it to what they call their gathering. I forget what they called it.
Dig it,
Offhand.
green.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
we have
right.
magnets and all kinds. I think Trav, you won something, didn't you, Trav, bud? I won. And the wife won a couple things. The seeded hunt was a lot of fun. I found they had these little teeny tiny keys that they had planted, and you found those keys and they unlocked different prizes and stuff. It was an absolute blast.
I need to give a shout out to a good personal friend of mine, Jerry from the California Motherlode Prospectors. And like you said, you've met people through YouTube, right, Travis? That
Lots
you've
of
gone digging with. The gentleman that I just shouted out, Jerry. Him, Top Cat, Two Toes, Goldsmith's Gold, but in particular Jerry, Chef Barry, and Top Cat. I believe those are the ones. They all conspired to put on a little like meet and greet at the North Yuba River when me and my two other brothers, Toledo Jess and Dano the Mano, were my co-hosts for years. And they're good friends. We went out to California, and those gentlemen there put on the East meets West kind of meet and greet. It was wicked cool. It was an awesome, and I really didn't know much about it till the day before it happened. But thank you, Jerry. Good to see you, brother.
That does sound like really, really good times. Kind of like the bottle shows. All the diggers and collectors come together, and we usually have a really good time. We have a big group that talks bottles for hours. Missed the whole show.
Yeah, he literally.
Oh, that's how it is at outings and shows, though. You visit, you look at the stuff people have to sell or to display. Yeah, buddy, make some new friends, see some old friends.
Yes, sir.
I see some of my Canadian, or sorry, Brad, my Australian friends have made it in. I hope some of my Canadian friends are in here too. But good to see you, Brad. Scott, good evening to you too.
Sorry, I can't see the chat, so I don't know if anybody's trying to ask anything, but I can't see any of the chat.
Okay, well, we know you're on your phone.
Yeah, the laptop failed us.
Well, just the Zoom did, you know. You could have probably brought up the show on that, and so you could see the chat, but just got to mute it, or do we get a feedback?
Definitely could probably do that, Ed.
We all say howdy. Hola, David Villa, mi amigo. Muchas gracias. Good to see you tonight. So
I don't know, baby
what's
girl.
the most interesting thing you found?
The most interesting.
What's your favorite? Do you have it handy? Because you probably wouldn't sell your favorite.
No, I wouldn't. Well, you had asked me to get together some of my best finds from this year.
Okay,
so I didn't.
True.
But I do have a display case over here of my favorite finds. But from this year, this is probably my favorite find from this year.
Yeah.
Just a couple. And believe it or not, I actually dug two of these.
Ooh.
is a 32-ounce Carter's Cathedral Master Ink is what it's called. And they were used mainly in hospitals. And basically they would, fill up the smaller ink wells with this particular bottle. But you can see the design on this. It's shaped like the old style cathedral church windows. And it's got Carter's, you can see in the little blocks.
Oh yeah,
All the way.
RTERCA RT.
And I'll go ahead and explain a little bit. The mold line, they call it, is a line that you can locate on the bottle, and it runs up the side. And this particular one actually goes all the way to the top. So this is what's called machine-made cork top. It would have taken a cork that went down in here to close it off. And the age on this is about 1915 to 1920s era. So still over 100 years old and just absolutely perfect condition, you can see. It was about 8 feet under the ground. It is on video, but I dug that with my son, Trav Jr., too. He's my good luck charm.
Do you use a probe often when you're doing that?
I use a probe to locate privies, but usually in a bottle dump, I don't use a probe because there's so much glass. For one thing, you just kind of know that it's a bottle dump. I mean, you could use it to test depth, but a shovel works just as well. If I'm going to dig somewhere, my main objective is to reach the bottom because that's where the original dump started, and that will give you your idea of when they started using that area to dump in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, on average, dumps go from about 6 to 8 feet down, but then you find those other ones that are like the one that we're digging in now. It goes down about 10 to 12 feet to the very bottom. And that's where the older turn of the century, 1890s to early 1900s, sometimes even 1870s, 1880s stuff is starting to come out as well down in the depths. But when you're up high, you're looking at probably 1920s, 1930s bottles, which is when they finished using that area to dump in.
My friend Bill, Ohio Relic Hunter, was wondering, Travis, have you ever found any porcelain signs in any of the dumps?
Yeah, I actually have one right here. I just dug a couple days ago. It's not in the greatest condition, but here it is. And it actually says Lehigh Cement Company. And it's actually a pretty scarce sign. I haven't done too much cleaning to it. You can see it's pretty corroded up.
Right.
Some people vapor rust and some different things, vinegar and baking soda. But that kind of stuff scares me. So it's just going to sit how it is right now. But yeah, I have dug some really nice porcelain signs. I once pulled a double-sided sign out of a river dump that was down in the clay about 6 feet. And it says, look into it. It was a Pittsburgh paint company from like the 1880s, 1890s, valued about $600. But most of the time out of the ground, they are just too roached because the soil that they're in around this area anyway is pretty acidic. So it does not do well with the porcelain signs. If they're in the ground too long, they just start rusting up and getting holes in them and stuff.
Yeah, and with those things, the nicer it is, the better, huh? But
yeah, condition is always, the key when
condition.
Yep, condition and color. Color's a big thing in glass too. In collectible glass, the cobalt really nice, greens, citrons, anything that's not your normal common clear or aqua is going to bring more value, bring more money usually. Now, I also dug one 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I dug this bottle. It's on my new video I just put out like 10 or 11 hours ago. I dug with a 79-year-old bottle digging veteran. He's got over 50 years digging experience.
Wow.
He has over 10,000 bottles in his collection, local bottle digger. And yeah, so I pulled this bottle out of the ground. I'm about to show you guys. I didn't even know this existed. This is a very rare Coca-Cola bottle. Check this out. You see the swirl neck? A lot of you've probably never, ever seen a Coke like this before. It's considered ice blue, and it's heel script. Right here it says Mount.
That's
I don't know
cool.
if you can, but it says Mount Breeze Coca-Cola Bottling Works, Petersburg, West Virginia, and it says J.A.G. Heiser Proprietor. And in the Coke book that my buddy sent me, the West Virginia Coke book, this is rated a 4 out of 5 rarity, meaning that there's only a couple of these known to exist.
Right.
And
Nice.
this perfect condition, brother.
Nice.
So to me, it's like finding gold. I mean, it's a piece of history that not a lot of people have. And when you think about the amount of bottles that were made and the amount of bottles in people's collections, and to know that I just dug one that only a few people have ever seen, that's pretty cool feat.
David Viag says coolest bottle ever dug.
Heck yeah. And I've dug what's called double diamond Coca-Colas. Like I said, I have on rarity found Civil War belt plates, and I even found a napping tool for making arrowheads.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, on occasion I find some neat stuff. Last year, in one part of the dump, I found a Civil War saber handle, and probably a couple hours later, I was digging and found the blade part to it. So I have a full Civil War saber sword as well that I dug.
Nice.
And an officer saber plate that I dug in a separate dump in a whole nother place. I found the belt plate that actually belongs to that year officer that would have had that sword as well.
Tin Man Magnet. Well, he goes by Tin Man Magfish now. He's the magnet fisherman.
Oh, nice.
Ever find a bottle that still has the liquid in it?
Yeah, I have, brother. I have found a few of them. I actually have a mercury bottle. Trav Jr., Trav Bud. If I can get my son's attention, it's in the hallway in my display case. It's a little, and it actually has mercury still in it. Wow. It's very heavy. Liquid mercury. Really, really cool. Trav, in my display case in the hallway, get that little bottle that has that mercury and silver in it. Yeah, I found some neat stuff. Mason jars with like the canning content still in them. That stuff's pretty gross.
I bet. Some of them don't open it.
I was digging in New York. Now, this is actually on video. I think I even have a TikTok video of it. I'm on TikTok as well, Crick Diggers.
Yeah,
on TikTok.
His URLs for Facebook, TikTok, here on YouTube are all down in the descriptions. So be sure to hit him up after the show.
So check this out, guys. It's actually embossed FG, but if you look inside of here, you see that?
Yeah, sure looks like mercury to me.
Mercury, look at that. This bottle's heavy, too. Mercury must be really heavy. But yeah, that's still sealed. It has like a glass stopper inside of it, you can see. Once in New York, I was digging with my buddy Shane Potter from Parlor City Pickers and Diggers. If you got up here with them, they dig a lot of privies up in like Binghamton area. But we had this guy called Jake the Snake. He just some guy that walked up in the woods and started digging with us. Actually gave my son a couple arrowheads that he had found.
Cool.
We dug a beer, probably 1890s blob beer that still had some beer in it, and Jake drank it right there.
Didn't he even have to be dared? He just drank it?
Yeah, it might have been a little daring going on. It's
A little coaxing going on.
Going on.
Was it a hot day?
Turned it right up. He said it tasted like a box wine almost.
Well,
there's a lot of people commented on that.
At least it didn't kill him, huh?
Yeah. And then now we've also dug stuff that when I went to clean it and took the cork out of it, it really, really affects like your sinuses and your head and your eyes and stuff like that. There has been some potent stuff come out too that you don't really want to be breathing the vapors in or anything when you're cleaning it.
Well, I bet. I
found a bottle full of human blood in a hospital dump I was digging, and I thought it should be coagulated, like that stuff's supposed to turn clear and do all kinds of weird stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I talked to my buddy who's a nurse practitioner, and he said if it's out of the light, completely out of the sunlight, which it was buried in the darkness, it'll stay like that in blood form for over 100 years, he said. It was disgusting. It's on video too.
A lot on video, huh?
I try to document everything because I don't have the greatest memory. My wife will tell you I forget stuff on a daily basis. But yeah, I try to document everything, and I just enjoy.
So you have CRS too?
Absolutely, I got PTSD, CRS.
I have that can't remember beep either. So Ed Bragg, good to see you in the house. Long time. He probably drank a trucker bomb from back in the day when trucks were wagons. Laugh out loud. That was said by our friend Bill Marsh, Ohio Relic Hunter.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what that fella drank. It did foam when you shook it up, but yeah, no thank you on that.
No, I think I'd bow out on that myself. No,
watch
thanks.
But
I'll give you $5 if you do.
I did pull a super rare local amber embossed flask out of a privy here in my town, Lonaconing, probably about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And well, privy's used to use the bathroom, and that's what his main purpose was.
Right.
So flask out, it's so rare and so valuable that I kissed it. Wow. Right out of the privy.
Well, at least it's an old shit house, and
yeah. Absolutely.
It's not like you found it in a porta potty. Well, I guess technically it is a not quite a porta potty, but a perma potty. So.
Yeah, if you ever probe into a modern, it smells horrible. It smells so bad.
I've never participated in a privy dig, but I've witnessed it in Mount Vernon, Washington, at a friend of mine's house, and evidently they didn't have the cleaning law out there, so they found all kinds of bottles and all kinds of cool stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, what you hope for is it was filled in before that law came about. Those are the ones you want to look for. But
Right.
there's no way of knowing really without digging it. That's the only real way to find out.
And for those who out there who may be interested and maybe if they're already dump diggers, or I know a lot of them are prospectors, but I don't know if they dabble in other things. But if it interests them, what would you look for, you know, you said you could spot like dumps and stuff, and what do you look for? Do you look like indentations in the ground, or that look like it was a possible fill area, or like, you know, don't privies kind of they fill it in and then over time it compacts and settles and you get a divot in that area, right?
Yes, sir. A lot of times you will have a sink. And with privies, they always put them in the backyard. Like 99.9% of the time, they put them in the backyard, either in the
Mm-hmm.
corner or the middle. So that's your go-to place when you're probing anyway. But yeah, any indentation like that, you want to probe out first. Same with dumps; they'll settle as well. But a lot of times they will mound them up with so much trash or fill that they put over top of them. They won't form an indentation. It'll actually be like a mound area. And you just got to dig into the side of the mound to find the stuff. But you're looking for ash, you're looking for bricks, you're looking for obviously glass shards, pottery, porcelain, ironstone, crock pieces,
And like
things that are.
if you find shells, like oyster shells and stuff, you know you're getting older then, right?
Yes, sir. And believe it or not, I found out something from my historian friend about those oyster shells. Not only did they eat them because they were super super easy to get a hold of. There were just millions of them at the time. They
Uh-huh.
also used toilet paper. They used them as toilet paper in the fancier establishments, and they
The
actually had
shells?
the shells. Yeah, and they actually had somebody.
Ooh,
Listen,
ow.
had somebody that cleaned them off when you're done using it and put them back on the
Oh
back
my God.
person.
Really? Oh, sick. Talk about painful. I could imagine a corn cob being rough, but oh my God, an oyster shell?
Oyster shells, brother.
Oh, oh
Yeah, I didn't
man.
know that until just last year. I thought that you just found so many of them because they ate a lot of them, but yeah, they also use them as toilet paper. So
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
and disease was real bad back then too. That's why there's so many quack medicines that you can find, cures and remedies for every kind of ailment, and they all basically have the same concoction: alcohol, chloroform, morphine, just
Cocaine,
bad
whatever.
stuff.
a,
Cocaine.
a conglomerate of shit that with too much would kill you, right?
A lot of times it did, and they used a lot of it for infants as well, like teething infants and things like that. And it did a lot of times it killed them.
That's
They didn't.
sad. I kind of have the morbid. I like cemeteries.
Oh yeah,
I
cemeteries.
find them peaceful and historic, and I ain't afraid no ghosts, at least yet. So I
You can.
like checking out mausoleums in the older parts of cemeteries.
That's all. Yeah, I like seeing the older cemeteries too. And if there's any kind of woods behind them, you want to check because I don't know why, but trash dumps and cemeteries go hand in hand. If you
Mm,
find a older cemetery, it's a good chance that it has a bottle dump really close to it.
Hmm. That's something definitely to think about. I'm sure it's a lot too in your state, us being on this side of the muddy miss, you know. All the land's mostly private land, so
Yes,
it's
yeah,
it's a
definitely want
lot of
to.
permissions and research and door knockings, right?
Yes, sir. A lot of door knocking, phone calls, and a lot of research trying to find out who owns what.
And what do
And
you
that,
use to do that research?
what is it?
Uh, for property owners and that stuff, do you use online tools or do you go to actually to the courthouse before you go about talking to them?
No, I don't go to the courthouse. There's different apps that you can use that will actually show land. It'll show the owners. It'll a
Yeah,
lot of
like
times.
on X and stuff or X Hunt.
Yeah. I like to use Gaia as well. A lot of people are probably not
Yeah,
familiar with
I've heard of Gaia.
the GPS thing, and it actually will show you where you're at and where all the old roads were. And it's actually I've used it up on Eastern Shore and up near Tillman Island and stuff, and found roads where on the map there was literally like 40 houses back in the 1860s and 70s, and
Uh-huh.
now not a single house at all. It's a completely abandoned road. You walk back in the woods where all them houses used to be, dump, 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 everywhere. So yeah, those are good tools that you can use. Um, it's not super hard once you know what you're doing and you know how to be respectful of the land and not tear up a bunch of crap. It's pretty easy to get permissions. At first, when I first started, everybody said no. You know, because you got to make a name for yourself. Once you get that first yes, you got to make sure it is the most perfect job you ever did. Especially if it's like a privy or something you're digging in somebody's yard. You want
Right.
to make it even better than what it was when you walked
So
into it.
I'm sure you take out a chunk of sod
Yes,
first,
sir.
put
I
that
like to
on what, a tarp or something, and then
have a
throw
tarp
all
for
your
my.
dirt on the tarp. So when you're all done, it's like detectorists digging a plug instead of a hole, you know?
That's exactly right. Put it all on a tarp, document everything, and then when you're done digging, we fill the hole back in and put the plug back on it, tamp it down nice and even with the rest of the yard. And you can't even tell we were where we even dug at when we're done digging.
So realistically, we could go as boldly and as far to say as you're an amateur archaeologist.
I have been called that. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Do you ever work with museums in specific in your area? Or
Um,
have you?
I'm working with like I said, the Mineral County Historical Society right now has welcomed me in, and I'm digging with the treasurer. He's a good friend of mine. Um, the museum part, though, I was actually had a person reach out to me as a private individual, and they're
Cool.
purchasing a property to convert into a museum for Western Maryland, and they
Mm-hmm.
want me to be the taker of it. So that's going to be coming in the future, and then hopefully this year, I'm going to be basically running a new museum. We don't have a name for it yet, but it's going to be for all of Western Maryland, and a lot of my Doug stuff personally is going to be displayed at the museum.
Nice, nice. Sure
Work in progress
would.
now, but it's definitely going to be happening.
That's cool. I I
Yeah,
work
I'm really.
with the guy who wants to open up an Indian relic museum with his collection.
Oh, that's so neat. That's one thing I really want to start working on is learning how to find the Native American stuff because I don't know how, and it was around this area as well. It should be able to be found. I just don't really know how yet.
Well, you would think, if my geography's right, isn't Maryland on the Potomac, or I mean, shoot, what's that big
Yeah,
harbor? Uh, Huh?
yeah, Potomac River.
Yeah,
It is. It is on the Potomac River. It's
in
actually
the
right.
Chesapeake Bay.
And then you got Westernport, which was like a huge gathering, like marketplace almost back. When the Native Americans had their establishments and everything around there. It was like the furthest westernmost part you could go before the rivers became too treacherous to navigate.
You should probably talk to some of those guys out here in YouTube that get really into hunting for First Nations or old campsites and stuff. I bet you they'd open arms. Come on in, join us. Maybe.
Yeah, definitely need to. I am so busy, brother. It's hard to try to partake in extra things. Bottle digging is a huge endeavor, and a lot of times I'll go out digging and won't really have very good footage for a video, so I'll have to do it again and again.
Drain the Swamp 53, Travis. He says, look on top of hills in the gravel after a rain. And I know in fields and stuff, think of it as they want to camp on high ground, so you could
Right.
find out if you find a little fire pit on high ground, uh, you could work around it, and maybe you could when I'd imagine the guy'd be sitting there napping by a fire hearth, enjoying one of his little Indian fires, napping away, so you could find shards from, oh, what do I'm trying to use technical terms and I can't, but because I don't remember them. But little flakes and stuff, and then you find the camp, then you could think, okay, if I was this guy and lived here, where would our dump be? Who knows what you could find.
Yeah.
I think the dumps have been around as long as, how can I dare say this on YouTube? Are there any kids out there? I'm sure there's been dumps around as long as there's been prostitution. So,
Yeah. Speaking of that, I actually live in an old brothel house. Imagine that.
oh wow, uh, shoot, there could be some gold hidden in some of those walls or something. You never know.
Psychic. Well, I was on Gypsy Jules podcast
Oh, cool, yeah.
years ago, and she had a friend that actually called me on the phone after the podcast was over, and we talked about my house and stuff. And she said she could definitely feel that there was treasures here to be found. She had me out metal detecting the river, telling me that I'm going to find a pistol and stuff. I haven't yet, but I've been out there doing it.
I actually have a painting Gypsy Jules painted for me.
Heck yeah.
After I think she painted it for me after the last time she was my guest.
Oh,
So,
that's really cool.
and she's really cool. One day I'd
Yeah,
like to meet her.
she's doing that Garrett tour thing this year, I think, with KG Ringer and his metal detecting buddies.
Oh, I
George Wyatt.
believe it. She's been on Gold,
Oh yeah, she was on
been
Oak Island.
been been on, yeah, after Oak Island, and been on uh Freddie Dodge's Mine Rescue before, and got her book out.
Oh yeah, she did. That's right. She just published it.
And I think she'd be really cool to meet one day maybe.
In person. Just talked to her on the phone, and I was on her podcast.
Yeah,
That was a lot.
yeah. I I believe have had her on twice now. But
Very cool.
I know she's so busy now. It's like I'm happy for her though. She's a
Yeah,
great gal.
I'm busy too, real busy. Plus, now I just started a new job about a month ago now as a landscaper.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Uh,
coming up on season, that's gonna keep you busy. It's
cut my, we've been slamming. The good news is I'm off every Saturday and Sunday, so I can still do my auctions on Saturday and dig. And then if I don't dig well enough on Saturday, then I go again on Sunday and try to get enough for a video.
right. So you go out as much as you can, then I'm sure.
I
E-
do. If
Every
I'm off work,
chance you get.
I do try to go out exploring and find. I'm always looking for new dumps, and on the weekends, I try to go out and dig whatever dump I found or whatever privy I have lined up. I try to always have something lined up.
Well, that's cool. I know with work I'm busy construction, so and
Is that what you?
try and find time in between to get out and do panning or anything can be tough.
Yes, it can.
But hey, we do it, right?
Exactly right.
Uh, all right, Brad, feast away. Wonder what time it is in Australia right now. It has to be afternoon sometime. So, where if you could go digging anywhere in the world, it don't matter if it's in a national monument or like a UN peace park or anything, no holds bar, could be the White House, anywhere. And you knew where the dumps were and could dig anywhere around the world. Where would you go? And what kind of digging would you like to do?
The White House is definitely interesting. I would go find the old privies and do some metal detecting as well. And my main thing would be the Revolutionary War stuff. Oh my gosh, it'd be incredible to find a George Washington button or some kind of old Revolutionary bottle from the late 1700s. That would be really really awesome. I know they find them over in the UK and stuff, the onion bottles and mallets and stuff, but I want the U.S. Revolutionary War stuff. That'd
That
probably be the best bet of finding something because I don't think anybody's ever dug at the White House.
I don't know. I don't have the foggiest. Maybe the Smithsonian. But
maybe one day they'll call me up and be like, we want you to come down here and dig.
right. Well, call them up. See if you could do an archaeological dig there. Yeah, but that'd be definitely be a good one for if you could dig anywhere you wanted to, no holds barred category.
Yeah, and the reason being I haven't dug out of the United States, so I don't really know what they dig over there other than the sheared lip inkwells and the not to be taken poisons. I know they have a lot more stoneware over in Britain and the UK and stuff. It'd be fun to dig over there with the mudlarkers. They find some incredible stuff. That's definitely on my bucket list to do.
Well, I think I have your mother in our live chat.
Oh yeah, my mom, Kathy.
Well, it says G Lassie.
Oh, G Lassie. No, that's not my mom. That's one of my YouTube subscribers.
Oh, okay. Because he's like, you all got my boy on tonight. All right, I understand. Got his bro on tonight. Welcome, G Lassie. Welcome.
Hey, sister lady.
No reason to be sorry. Welcome. Welcome. Oh, welcome. Any kind of treasure hunter is part of the FlashFam, I always say. I don't care what your gold is. One man's trash is another man's treasure. But I'll tell you this right now, Travis. We have a place in Indiana we used to dredge called Pirates Cove. And there was a dump upstream. And whenever it flooded, we'd get more debris down from it at Pirates Cove. And I tell you, those brass zipper teeth, when they're all rotted out of their cloth and you find them one tooth at a time in a gold pan, when you first see it, you go, ooh, oh man.
Zipper teeth. Oh,
flipping
man.
zippers. Yeah, yellow brass zippers.
Oh, man, I couldn't
You
imagine.
think you're flashing your pan as a little picker, and it's a flipping zipper tooth. Fool you. It can fool you. That should be categorized as fool's gold, especially at Pirates Cove.
Man. That's about the equivalent when you're metal detecting and the pull tabs, the older pull tabs from the soda cans. They sound so freaking nice, man. They ring up in the high 80s and they just scream at you. And
think you have a nice silver dollar or something, and boop,
oh, it's always a pull tab.
old school pull tab. Darn it, man.
Yeah. I feel your pain, brother.
Looking ahead, what are your goals for Creek Critters Inc. and Mafia? You know, you are a Facebook presence also, so you're also Inc. over on TikTok too, if I remember right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for my TikTok one. It must be the ink too as well.
Yeah.
You can find me. Just putting in Crick Diggers will find me as well. But my goal moving forward, obviously, is to expand. But by expand, I've been really meticulous on the subscribers that I allow to join my
Well, you
channel.
gotta vet them fairly good.
Trying to build the most massive amount of subscribers I possibly can. The subscribers that I have right now, almost 18,000 now, are really, really supportive, and they put great comments, and they like all my video content, and there's no negativity, and they support one another. And that's what I want to keep it as. I want to keep it family orientated and just like stress and politic free.
I do my best to keep it family friendly, and I agree. Religion and politics can stay out of it. If you want to know me about my faith, though, be open to ask. I'm an open book, and I'll let you know. But other than that, I don't need to shove it down no one's throat, right?
Yeah, I just want
Scott,
everybody to have
if you're ever in Illinois, Travis, Scott says, I'd like to dig a preview at Abe Lincoln's log cabin in Illinois.
yeah,
I
but
think that'd be an interesting dig there too, around old Honest Abe's place.
that would be awesome. That's where my buddy Josh Dondorf is from, Illinois. He actually drove either 9 or 10 hours down here to Western Maryland to dig with me last year. Kind of looks like your avatar, Ed.
Um, what's the most scariest situation you ever had, like digging a dump? I could imagine you're conscious of cave-ins, and do you
Just in
excavate
case.
it in a fairly safe manner, or do you coyote hole and hope it don't
It really
cave in?
depends. It really depends on who I'm with and the material that I'm digging in. You can usually tell how you can dig an area once you've been doing it for a while anyway, for it to still be safe. For
Mm-hmm.
instance, when you're wintertime and the ground is colder and harder, you can tunnel a lot more, you can undercut a lot more, and you don't have to worry about so much as it collapsing because it's all frozen above you.
Right.
So it holds really nice. Well, in the summertime, when it's all dried out and soft and the rains and got it all wet and moist, you can't really undercut too much because it just keeps collapsing, keeps collapsing. So you got to have, a bigger hole. You got to make stairs going down into it. So yeah, it just depends throughout the year and the soil composition. Has it got a lot of rocks in it? Has it got a lot of burn material in it? All that is going to also have to do with the stability of the stuff you're digging in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
I like to the bottom. So when I start a hole, in my head I'm thinking I'm going to go down probably 8 to 9 feet. Like I said, is usually where I'm going to be around the bottom. So I'll make a fairly large hole, and then I will make what I call stairs. The same thing I do as privy digging. I'll make
Right.
stairs into it, and then I'll use my bucket method, which basically you're filling up a bucket, walking up your stairs, dumping the bucket out of your hole, walking back down your stairs,
Right,
continue.
you terrace it, kind of like an open pit mine, right?
It takes time to dig those deeper holes, and you gotta stay out of your head, going into the sidewalls too much, because once you jeopardize the sidewalls, everything up top's going to come down, and that sometimes takes 2.5 hours just to clean out a hole after a collapse. So once you know what you're doing, you can dig a little more unsafe, but you still got to constantly monitor cracks, trickling of dirt falling down on you. If you're
Right.
digging quiet out, like if you're away from everybody, you can even hear the roots popping under the ground. There's all kinds of signals that let you know maybe I should, come out and sit back and observe for a minute and make sure I'm not going to get buried.
Yeah, that's the last thing any of us want to do is get buried.
I've got some
Definitely.
really videos of collapses happening just because I was aware and was able to come out and turn the camera on and capture that part of it. It is scary. It can be scary, but I've probably dug now, holy crap, over 600 privies, probably several hundred bottle dumps. So I definitely know what I'm doing and how to do it, even though it may look semi unsafe on my video. It's not.
Semi-unsafe. uh, Ohio Relic Hunter. Has he ever used any heavy equipment to dig dumps? And
Oh,
Rack Cross Studios.
last
Welcome.
excavator out at a old dairy that our company was actually demoing for the local cannabis company Grow West in our area.
Uh-huh.
We found the old farmer's dairy milk bottle dump, and it actually ended up being a return center for all the other local dairies. And the way we found that out is we dug, I think it was 38 or 39 different dairy milk bottles from that same exact spot. The Historical Society came out, the owner and CEO of Grow West came out. It was a big deal. That's all on video too. So if you guys go back a couple videos, you'll find the dairy dig. I think it's called the milk bottle delivered bit, or the something about the milk delivery man delivery time. I can't remember what the exact title is, but you can find it. It's on there, and it's a fairly long video, but we dug so many incredible bottles, and the guys that were operating the excavator were very, very good at what they were doing. So I didn't see anything get broken at all. We only had a 3-day window before everything was getting completely wiped out and demoed. So we made the best of it. We found some incredible stuff, very rare milk bottles from my area.
There has to be a kabillion different types of bottles over the years. When did they invent the glass bottle?
In Jesus's time.
Really, that far back? It wasn't just clay back there?
Yeah,
They
they've been
actually
making,
had glass
they're,
bottles way
yeah,
2,000 years ago.
Roman vases and stuff in the old settlements, and under deep underground they're still finding, glass bottles,
No,
all free owned, handmade. It's pretty wild. It's been going on for a long time.
back then, blowing glass. I guess that's been around for eons.
It
Never
has.
knew.
Yeah.
I
And
was.
sometimes they use children. They use children in those glass factories to blow the glass bottles and operate the molds and stuff like that. A lot of the pictures that I have seen and been presented with, it's all children working the whole entire factory pretty much.
I want to give a couple of shout outs, Travis.
All right, brother.
Rock Cross Studios, thank you for being a long-time viewer and thank you for subscribing. MJ, it's always good to see you, OnlyFans. Welcome to Mikasa Sukasa. Wikipedia, the first glass bottles were produced in Mesopotamia around 1500 BC and in the Roman Empire in around 1 AD.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a little history brought to us by Rockcross Studio. Thank you
Nice.
very much.
Appreciate that, brother, man.
No doubt, no doubt.
1 8.
A long time.
Very long.
2,000 years.
Longer than any of us have been around, that's for sure.
Now, I imagine our tools would be fairly comparable, but what's your toolkit like?
So, obviously, gloves. I like to use cut-proof gloves because a lot of times, once I uncover or reveal a piece of a bottle, and it's weird after you've been doing it for a while, just by touching it, you can kind of tell if it is whole or if it's busted. It just has a different feel, a different kind of a sound to it. You
Right.
glance it with your tool. I use a little hand digger, I call it, but it only has one prong on it. My go-to, I get them from Lowe's a lot. They're for like radiator hose tools. You know what I'm
Okay.
talking about? Rods. And they
Yeah.
have a little. I love those things. They work great. You don't have to worry about hitting other bottles or anything. You can get right up close to it. And I like to dig a little cavity out from underneath the bottle to where basically it just plops out in my hand, or I put my finger in the lip of it and just give it a very, very small little nudge and it drops out.
So I
don't like
guess
to.
that'd be compared to like our crevice tool.
Yeah, pretty much a crevice tool. Yeah, you just something that you can excavate successfully around the bottle without, hitting other bottles in the area or risk hitting it and breaking it. A lot of
Right.
people say to use like wood and stuff like that, which I guess you can get away with in certain parts of the world digging if it's like real sandy or something. But where I live, in the hard packed clay and the rocks and the ash and the burn barrels, you ain't
I
digging with a.
I'm sure you do you use like a margin trowel or a little mason's trowel or a spade too?
I mean, you could, but then you're like using, kind of like a punching motion, and you don't really want that because when you're digging a bottle out, normally there's a lot of other glass very, very close around that. So you
Right.
don't want pushing past the actual bottle because you could very easily break another one
Okay.
doing that. You just want to kind of go beside it and loosen the dirt and stuff around it to where it basically you can just pop it right out to you, and you don't have anything around it getting damaged. And
What's your average overburden? And do you move that by rake or shovel?
shovel, I use strictly a shovel. I have two shovels. I have a full size shovel that I use when I begin my holes, and then I have what's called a privy shovel, which is just a little guy, just a little shovel that I
Mm-hmm.
use to get down in the holes for putting my dirt in my buckets and stuff. So I don't have this real long handle, jutting out,
Right.
hitting stuff. And then, like I said, once I uncover a bottle, then I'll get my hand digging tool, or I'll use my gloves. I'll just put my fingers. If it's loose enough to dig with my hands, that's what I prefer to do, is dig with my hands. I have like almost like chainmail gloves that they're cut proof, so you can actually do that. With regular gloves, you can get away with it if they're new, but glass will cut them things wide open pretty fast. And
So
I've
the
seen people,
gloves you use most of the time is a chainmail, or do you
yeah,
use like a Kevlar?
yeah, Kevlar, any kind of cut proof gloves work. Um, and like I said, you can get away with regular gloves. You just don't want to be doing too much hand digging because you will get cut bad. I've seen people get cut really bad. I've been fortunate enough. I have never been cut really bad. I try to be, careful. Even if you're rubbing across a bottle or whatever, if you see glass protruding out, you want to, try to pull it out, dig around it, get it out. You don't want to just keep rubbing over it
Mm-hmm.
because that stuff is sharp. On top of that, it contains a lot of bacteria. It's very old. It could have, remaining content stuck on the glass shards or whatever. So you definitely got to be careful. But I know people that's been digging way longer than I've been alive, and they've never had like any kind of serious health issues or anything like that. I get asked all the time, can you get sick off that stuff? And I would
Right.
imagine the right circumstances were to arise, you probably could. But as long as you practice safety techniques, wearing your gloves, not inhaling the contents or trying to drink anything,
Right.
if just dump the stuff out, around your dump area, not in your hole, but around your dump area. And then, when you get home, clean it with water and soap or whatever. I use
Uh,
soap and water, cut copper to clean my bottles, and it works really, really well.
David V is wondering, do you ever incorporate a pinpointer while you're doing your digs?
Absolutely. If I find a coin or a real cool button or something, I have a Garrett Pro. I'll get it out of my bucket and I'll go around and try to find some other stuff. Believe it or not, I never have found anything after I've found the original. It never works that way for some reason. But yeah, when I'm metal detecting, absolutely, I'm bringing my pinpointer because I'm telling you what, it cuts down probably 3/4 of the time finding your target.
One of our friends from north of the border, the Canadian hillbilly, says a mini garden rake works well. A
Yeah,
lot of old outhouses were used as garbage dumps. Yeah, we talked about that before. But I'm sure the law like they passed in your area about what, late 1800s, about
eight.
cleaning out, that's pretty much only a local law, right?
No, I'm pretty sure that was just about everywhere. Every bottle digger that digs privies has certainly experienced what we call dipped privies, and that's
Okay.
that's me and cleaned out.
Okay. Well, I'm
Yeah,
sure
that's
if they didn't want a bunch of holes that ended, uh, keep digging a new one all the time and planned on being there a while. Yeah, and I could see how the government could get in and say, you need to clean those.
yeah, because the smell and stuff, and they
Yeah.
were usually along the back alleyways. So you're driving your car, your buggy, or whatever you had back then. All the outhouses are right there.
Oh man, that guy needs to clean his outhouse.
And that's what they did. They were called honey dippers, and they would actually come in the middle of the night and clean out your outhouse
Hmm.
in the night, dipping
Well,
that stuff. What they use to dip those out, because some of them are very deep. So I don't know what the heck they used to clean them with, but they'd load them up in their wagons, take them to an undisclosed location, and dump them. Or sometimes they'd even take them back to the bottlers, to the distributors, and they would actually buy them back off of them for a small fee and reuse them, fill them back up, and send them back out, resell them.
hmm. Well, I wonder how well they got paid doing such a crappy job. Yeah, it's like the guys who come clean the porta potties out on the job site.
I know, brother. I
Yeah.
don't think very much. Like one large cent a week or something. It was not good. It wasn't good.
Yeah, but back in that day, those days, 1 cent could probably buy something,
Yeah,
you
it
know.
definitely stuff was more affordable. You know what they had, the technology wasn't like it is now, so
True.
there's a lot more, modern tool wise and stuff like that. So I guess it would, cheaper. They didn't have all these special machines making all this stuff for us.
Yeah, I've said this word a couple of times already in the show, Canadian hillbilly, but you're right, I guess. Crap wages, the saying came from somewhere. So,
Yeah, that's exactly right. I wonder if that
um,
is dated from.
Mr. Lodak says it troubles me when I see the honey bucket cleaners eating lunch after they clean them out. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, he works constructions too, so yeah. But in a gold mine, there could very well be some nuggets being hidden away in that honey pot.
man, yeah. I have found some really neat stuff hidden down in privies. Even a old Navy Colt 45 pistol
I
behind the.
was gonna get into the gun things because I've
Yeah, I've
heard
done.
they were a popular place to stash a weapon.
Even in bottle dumps, man, I find so many pistols. I think I
Really?
found 36 or 37 last year. I've already found four. Yeah, four pistols this year.
And I'm sure in a dump, you know, in a privy, I could see some nefarious use for it, and it's there for like getting rid of evidence or something. But in a dump, were they damaged? Like,
When I dig them, usually they're all rusted up, and it's
so
hard to tell.
you can't even tell what caused them to toss it.
Well, from the research that I've done, they had things that were called sick rooms. So anytime somebody would die of a disease, they would literally take everything out of their room, out of their house, and throw it away, no matter what it was. A lot of times they would burn it too,
Oh,
because
yeah. I
they didn't
guess
know.
depending on the disease.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were scared of these diseases people were dying from. They, didn't want to take any chances of any of their stuff being able to affect anybody or infect anybody
Right. Right.
away. And then a lot of times the pistols are kids' toys too. They used to them to make the pistols, very realistic back then, back in the day. So it's a lot of times it's hard to tell whether it's a toy or if it's the real thing because they made them so well. There was no plastic or anything, so everything was made out of nice hand forged iron and steel.
Right.
Even the toys were.
What's the coolest toy you've ever found in a dump?
Probably a locomotive train.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I found like the little caboose cars that go on it, and it's all hand forged steel too.
Like an old school, was it an actual steam locomotive? Or was it like early electric?
Now I'm pretty sure it was like a steam locomotive. Yeah, and I think the pieces are even made out of lead. Some of them. real malleable material.
Wow.
I have really cool banks. I have dug awesome candy containers, all kinds of different figurals. The little whiskey nips, I actually collect whiskey nips. And basically, what a whiskey nip is a figural that they use to consume whiskey out of. I actually
Mhm.
dug one shaped like a turkey, or made to resemble a turkey. I've got the little cigar whiskey nips. I've got all kinds of really, really neat figural bottles,
That's
both that
cool.
I've purchased from my own collection. Marbles, all kinds of marbles I find.
Clay pipes.
Oh my gosh, hundreds of clay pipes. I once found a pipe in a privy in a little West Virginia town, and it was green glaze. It had been actually fired in a kiln, and it had a face on it. I think I sent you a picture of that one, but it's called the Pope, and it is, as far as I know, the only green glaze pipe bowl that resembles that particular character that's ever been found.
Wow. Do you have any of your bottles published in any like glass collectible books or catalogs or anything like that?
I haven't really reached out to the bottle digging magazine people. I definitely could have some stuff in there, but I've been in the newspaper 3 times. I've been in both the West Virginia and Maryland local newspapers for bottle digging and for fines. And I
Nice.
actually took newspaper people out with me on a dig while they did the interview and stuff. So that went really well. And I was on the Channel 4 news with Melissa Millay, I think 5 or 6 years ago,
Oh,
on
cool.
BC, about bottle digging as well.
Now, Bob Evans has the question about the pistols, and it was kind of like on my thought plane. Do you think the pistols in the privies were thrown in to hide them, like for evidence, or fallen in while taking the number two?
I mean, oh, I'd be so upset if I dropped the pistol in the toilet. But yeah, definitely, there was definitely instances where they, committed a crime and put them in there to hide them, or put something in there to hide it and retrieve it at a later date. I don't know about accidentally dropping it in there. I know that happened, with coins and smaller objects in their pockets and stuff, even pipe bowls and stuff they were trying to sneak from their grandparents. But I think with the pistols, I think it was more of a something happened, something malfunctioned, something broke. It would no longer fire. So they got rid of it. Or it was a toy, or it was a kid's toy. They grew out of it, it broke, like our kids do nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, maybe they were tormenting their sister with it, and they took it, threw it in there, as a go down
Right.
there on it. I don't know. It's a lot of different scenarios that could play out as to how that particular item ended up in the privy.
So you brought up auctions a couple of times. I
Uh-huh.
have auctions for like foreign coins and tokens and stuff like that and other collectibles. But what do you auction? Do you auction your finds?
Some of the finds that I'm not keeping, yeah, because I find so many bottles. If it's not local to me or something I don't collect, I do offer it up for my auctions. And we also, my wife normally does, she'll go on different sites and find good deals for us to resell stuff, or somebody will contact her and have her looking for specific things.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly focus on antique bottles, but I also do a little bit of tokens. I also add marbles in with my stuff. Sometimes there's a little bit of ephemera going on, little postcards and photographs and things like that, little advertisement cards. And I
Sounds
also
like my last auction.
it's pretty neat. I have them every Saturday night, usually around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's live streamed on my YouTube channel.
Cool. I'll have to check it out. Me and one of my main man moderator, Mr. Lodak, in the room. Yeah, I know Mr. Lodak. He just said competition, laugh out loud. He's my co-host on Red's Coins and Collectibles live auctions. And but I have a huge collection of stuff I've had for years, and I was the only collector out of all the boys. So when my dad passed away, I got everything collectible.
Oh wow,
On top of my own stuff. So,
man!
so
Yeah.
I last week when you were talking about advertisement and stuff, my last auction, I don't do them every Saturday though. It's like during the winter, twice a month, 3 times a month, every other week or something. And during the summer, during prospecting season and stuff, they're a little more in between, once a month, once every 2, 3 weeks. Um, but yeah, never know what I'm gonna have. A lot
All
of
right.
them are acquired, throughout the years. Some I've had for 20, 30, 40 years. Some of them been my dad's. Um, just,
I'll definitely watch for your next auction. That sounds awesome, Ed. My wife also wanted me to mention
any new people to the auction that mention this podcast gets 5% off.
any people that are new to the auctions that mention this podcast on Saturday will get an additional 5% off of their order.
And you know what? For the heck of it, even our
Anybody, not just the new people, anybody that mentions this podcast on Saturday will get an additional 5% discount
if they win anything.
if you win anything.
ooh. Hear that? So, Mr. Lodak, note to self. Ed, don't have an auction this coming Saturday. If you head over to listen to me, Creek Diggers Inc. this coming Saturday, and you mention this and your bid wins, you heard the lady. What's that, 5%, right?
Yep, 5% off your order.
5% off your order. That's right, Terry Curry. Good deal. Good deal. So I might be over there. Hey,
What is it, honey? 10%, the wife said.
Oh, 10%. I was wrong. I am corrected, everybody. 10%.
It wasn't wrong. Just changed it on us, Ed.
Oh, okay. But wait, there's more. Not just 5%. You get 10% off. Is that the entire invoice, or is that off one product?
That's the entire invoice.
Mention this podcast, everybody, and you get 10% off of your whole auction winning invoice. If you mention this broadcast there. as the fireworks go off behind Travis.
Yeah, that was all.
Woo! Cool. I definitely hope some of my crowd that goes over there and checks you out. I might very well be in there to see what kind of cool goodies you have.
It's a lot of fun. I try not to get too modern with stuff. I try to keep it all under like 1930s. And we usually have some really nice stuff for people to bid on.
Okay, Mr. Lodak wants to know, do you have any Morgans going up for auction?
I don't have any Morgans right now. No, unfortunately not. I wish I did. Silver's getting up there too now. I do have some Morgans, but not for auction. Let me rephrase that.
Great Mitch, prospecting guy from Oregon. Here he goes at hashtag graveyard prospecting to get 90% off everything at Reds Coins and Collectibles. Haha. Funny fellow. Funny fellow. Good to see you, Mitch. Ken, how are you doing? Good to see you. Bob Evans asked Travis about the vintage marble collection he found in the privy. How, man? How?
I did, guys. I dug 121 marbles in one privy dig.
Wow.
And I think that comes down to this what we were talking about earlier. I think somebody got mad at their sibling, or maybe it was a punishment and they were grounded. They were doing something they wasn't supposed to do.
Mom, really, I didn't mean it.
I found one mason jar, and it had 61, I think it was, clay marbles and 61 glass marbles, acro marbles. And they were all different colors. It was really awesome. And that was all that was in the privy. There was no other bottles. There was no other glass. It went down about 10 feet. It's also on video, but I think it was when I was holding my phone wrong. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. It was like probably 7 years ago.
Yeah.
That's the most marbles I've ever dug at one time.
Wow, but still, that's quite a find. And marbles, like bottles and a lot of other collectibles, it's like cha-ching. It could be the bank.
Oh, yeah. I'm still waiting on that jar full of gold coins, my brother.
You never know. You never know.
One of these days.
Makes you one of these days. Because, back in the day, it's been known for old timers to hide their cash in old tin cans and dumps and stuff, and like miners, and in the campfire hearth, in the tin can dump, stuff their nuggets or gold or pesos in a can and throw it back in. Never know. You might find that tin can of gold eagles or something.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely incredible.
Brad Walsh. I was never the bottle full of goldies, but I turned out to be a bottle full of Aussie pennies. Close, but no cigar. Oh, yeah. Ain't that part of what? Aren't the ones you sent me part of that?
What is that, Ed?
Brad Welsh, found a bunch of pennies in here, let me turn on my camera or turn off my avatar for a second. But all these pennies right there, they're part of a penny cache Brad Welsh found in a river in a mason jar. So
Wow.
it wasn't gold coins, but it was a bunch of Aussie pennies.
I can't see it. I still see your avatar, but it sounds absolutely
Oh,
incredible.
it's still on my avatar? I thought I turned it off. Doggone it. Sorry, everybody. I'm going to show you again, but it's going to be the first time for Travis. Because in Zoom, I have my blonde long hair avatar. You know, the one my granddaughter flipped off last week or so.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's part of the cache he found.
Little stash or cache. Nice. Are those Indian heads? What are those?
No, those are Australian large cents. Brad's from Australia.
Oh, okay.
Those are some Aussie coinage. Couple of roos. Let's see, here's... Oh, yeah, that's right. You can see me now. The light's not very good. I'm in the shade with my lighting. But there's one type.
How cool. Those things are in really good condition, too.
No, this little bench, this one was a 1934. And then he has some roos from, here's one from 1942. Try and get it where the light, because I can't get close enough with the way my lighting is. And that one's a kangaroo.
Oh, heck yeah. That's so cool. I wish we had kangaroo.
I hear they taste like chicken.
Oh, yeah?
No, I don't know. Hey,
That fella, did he find those in a bottle dump or metal detecting?
I believe he was metal detecting in a river.
Oh, wow.
Or he could have been diving, because he dives too, with the hookah setup. He told me the story a couple times now. I'm just blind, and Ed, that was the total eclipse with your hand behind it. Sorry. But yeah, these are a treasure given to me, so these will never go on my auction block.
Yeah, I have a few stuff like that people sent me. Here, I'll get one down off my display here and show you real quick.
Okay. Yeah, diving in about 10 feet of water.
That is... That's another thing I want to start learning how to do is diving. But remember how I was talking about I collect figurals?
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, Fred Ellingson is his name, actually gave me this last year for my birthday present. Look at this thing right here. Can you see that? It's a hand holding a dagger.
And that's a bottle? Is that like a whiskey bottle or?
Oh, yeah. Figure whiskey bottle.
Wow, cool.
This one's about 1880s, 1890s.
Boy, it's amazing they could get that into grit.
I know. Isn't that craziness? I mean,
the detail.
hand and everything is just incredible. Yeah, all
Now,
hand done.
would they carve that into a mold and like blow the glass around it?
They would have the glass, and I guess they use tools, to make all these little intricate designs and ribs and all that stuff. I don't know exactly how they did it, but you can see it's got a polished panel on the base of it. So basically, this would have been attached to a long rod, and they would blow through it,
Mm-hmm.
and, glass out. And I don't know how they did the sword, the dagger, and all that stuff, but it was an incredible artistic glass blower for sure. They even got like the fingernail made into the glass. Like they went all out on that one.
And that's 1800s, huh?
Late
Wow.
1800s.
Mr. Lodak wants to know if you ever dug up anyone's pet.
Oh my gosh, yeah, a lot of times, a whole lot. And the reason being, especially privy digging, your animal dies, your pet dies, you go out to bury it. You're looking for a soft spot. You're not wanting to dig, in concrete.
Right.
The privy area, a lot of people didn't know it was a privy, but it's the softest spot in your yard. It's already been dug. It's a pre-dug hole that's been filled in, but a pre-dug hole that's been filled in is softer than something that hasn't been dug. So a lot of
True.
times,
True.
first couple of privy digging, you will dig up, pets, cats, dogs, different kinds of animals, sometimes horses, cows, whatever they had back then.
At least they didn't have to flush it.
It's not unheard of to dig up pets. Yeah, it happens all the time. And what I'll usually do is I'll take them out and set them to the side. And then after I dig the privy completely out, I'll put them down in the very bottom, rebury them. No, and they'll never be disturbed again.
Brad Wells, privy, is that like a dunny? Well, if a dunny's a toilet in an outhouse, yes, Brad, yes. A dunny sort of sounds like it'd be an outhouse name.
Yeah, it does. You're done. You're done. Latrine, they call it in the military. Yeah, that's what it was. And it was before, these are the ones where before the plumbing came about that people used to use, before the not bottle dumps, but before landfills came about, before trash pickup and stuff like that.
Right.
Actually used their privy holes as, trash cans. They dumped their chamber pots down in there and different kinds of pottery. And I'll also learn that if the family moved, anything load up in the wagon went in the privy hole. They didn't have U-Hauls and stuff like that. They had a wagon. Their whole family had to go on, and whatever belongings they could fit on there. Everything else that was left over.
They didn't have waste management coming by weekly, so.
No.
Graveyard prospecting's like, ever find any petrified turds? I don't. Yeah. Okay.
I have. I've actually found petrified teeth. Found a decent amount of petrified stuff, actually.
Brad says, yeah, Dunny is a toilet. Laugh out loud outhouse. So you dig in the ground that was a puddin. Not right. That's laughs out loud.
Yep.
You know, it's an old one. It's an old one, Brad.
After 100 years, it's not poo anymore, guys. It's dirt. It's just the most fertile dirt you will ever see in your life. People use it to plant with and stuff, and the plants just do incredible. And it's just real fertile dirt. It's all broke back down. All the compost is gone, unless it has water that remains in it. A lot of times they would put slate or clay floors in these things,
Uh-huh.
and they hold water. So depending on where the water table is at, if it remains wet, it never usually breaks down, and it still smells pretty bad and has
I
seed.
take it you have some experience in finding a couple of those older ones that they've actually had water and stuff, and so
I've dug some that there was so much water in it, it was literally from the bottom of the privy all the way to the ground level where you start probing just from walking, sopping wet.
oh
Where we
wow.
take buckets and relocate the water out of the stuff in order to be able to dig them.
All
Yeah,
things country says petrified of the thought of digging up someone's crap shack. So you never know where you could find in those.
that
So
$4,000 salt glazed crock falls out of the sidewall on you, and then you forget all about the poo.
right. PA Patriot, Chew, good to see you.
What are you doing,
I Graveyard Prospecting said I worked at Roto Rooter for 4 years and I'm done with poo.
Yeah, you guys modern stuff. I don't blame you on that. This is like digging in a garden full of bottles.
I haven't seen Nikki for a while, Jaren, so I don't know if she's still here. She was here earlier, brother. Man,
Thanks.
we're almost in 2 hours. Bam.
Yeah, buddy. I don't want that right now, son.
Well, time flies pretty quick when we're talking about treasure and treasures of all types.
It does out bottle digging too, or metal detecting, doing anything you love doing. The time just seems to fly by.
Like playing Fortnite.
Like playing Fortnite, my son said.
And playing Roblox.
All Things Country says, my hunt camp has an outhouse in deer season. 8 guys share the camp and drink heavily and eat bad for you food. Don't ever dig my outhouse up. Laughs out loud. That's funny, All Things Country.
Go.
Thank you, Ohio River Hunter. Says great gas and show tonight, Ed. Thank you.
Hey, appreciate that.
Definitely. Brad Welsh, what are you saying, Brad? You worked in New Zealand, Rotorua, man, Rotorua. Man, that place stinks, but it's from the volcanoes that is in the area. Very bad sulfur smell. Very active place, that is.
Ooh.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very good.
No. I'm sure it didn't help my reading it. Those Aussies speak a whole different English, let me tell you. All things country. Can you read the comments now? Do you have your laptop up, or are
I can
you
pull it.
still not able to? But all things country is like, honestly though, much respect. Treasure is where you find it, and you
Absolutely.
gotta love what you are doing.
You never do know what you're going to find either. Every time I try to think that I've found everything I can find and go back out, I always surprise myself. Something else comes out of the ground that I had no clue about. It just continues and continues. Even after 8, 9 years of digging now, it's still every time I go, I'm seeing new stuff, new stuff, new stuff.
That's cool. That's really cool. Um, hey, the best of luck. I hope you find some very nice treasure, and one day I hope you find that tin or mason jar of gold eagles or something. But word of advice, you found nothing.
Yep, if that happens, you won't see a video.
Oh no, I got skunked that day. Bad day, bad day. Didn't find a thing, I tell you. No gold. No, no, no. Nothing but poo.
Sometimes that's what you got to do.
Graveyard says, very cool guest. Much appreciated, Mitch. Um, and you've been a great guest, Travis.
Hey, thank
Great
you, Trav.
guest.
Having me.
Thank you for taking the time to join me tonight on Tuesday Night Hangout Live. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
And everybody, when Mr. Lodak and I aren't having an auction, Travis has one seriously every Saturday, or
Day, brother.
every Saturday you can catch Travis's live auction. I believe you said 7 o'clock, was it?
7 to 7:30 time. Yeah.
Okay. Or anywhere between 7:30 Eastern
I
Standard
put a
Time.
link on my Facebook pages. There's always a link to the auction, and it just depends on how late I'm working. And Saturday's my digging day too. So if I'm having
Okay.
an day, it may even be pushed back to 8 o'clock. It's just when I get home, get cleaned up, and get fired up on the auction.
Well, there's gonna be one or two weekends I'll be stepping on the later part of your auctions, brother. I usually start around 8:39.
Okay.
Do fairly late night. Um, but yeah, catch it. And this coming Saturday at this particular auction coming up, if you mention this podcast, you'll get 10% off of your whole night's invoice for the auction lots you won. But you gotta be sure to let them know you heard it from here on Tuesday Night Hangout Live on this episode. So you very well might see me and someone else in your auction.
I hope so, man. We'd love to have you. We have a great time in there.
And usually around this time, I kind of spout out who I'm having on next week. And I wasn't prepared with that note. So give me a second why I find who I'm having on this kind of next week here on Tuesday night Hangout Live, but it is gonna be another great show because we're having Debbie join us. Debbie Smikowski from Mind Lab Detectors USA joining us next week. She gave me my Mind Lab hat, and I think she gave me my beanie too. My Mind Lab beanie. Cool lady, knows her detectors, and you probably might have seen her at a detecting event already. I'm sure you have, Bill. So, but that's who we're having joining us next Tuesday night on Tuesday Night Hangout Live. Tuesday Night Hangout Live. Sorry, long day, everybody. And make sure to check out CrickKratos or Creek Diggers Inc. One of my sluice boxes is called the Creek Critter. So maybe that's why I'm slipping up.
Yeah.
But Crick Diggers Inc. and follow them over on Facebook at Creek Diggers Mafia and check out their auctions. Remember, mention tonight's show, you get not 5 but 10% off your night's winnings.
That's right.
But thank you again. Thank you to Mrs. Crick Diggers, and I appreciate your technical assistance earlier when we were having trouble on the laptop, but when there's a will, there's a way. And telephone pulls through.
Absolutely. Hold on. Coming through again.
Mr. Lodak, after party over at GPS. So if you're a Gold Prospectors Space member and want to get into the after party over there on Zoom, it's a good time, and you never know who may stop by. Maybe even some Gold Show celebrities. It does happen. Just like maybe one day too, I hope to meet you on the river and maybe get to dig with this guy here. Everybody, thanks for another great Tuesday night. May you always have a flash in your pan. But I think Travis and I think we're gonna get out of here. So I think so. So for now, we're out of here.
Hey.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you next
4,
week.
3, 2, 1.